In the months ahead, thousands of restaurants across the United States are expected to shut down permanently. And we're not just talking about small, family-owned diners. We're referring to industry giants, brands that once reigned supreme in the American dining landscape. Names like Red Lobster, Applebee's, and even Salt Bay's flashy, gold-covered steak empire are slowly disappearing from the map. What we're witnessing is nothing short of a mass extinction event in the restaurant world. And if you think you'll still be digging into your favorite barbecue ribs or wings next year, you might be in for a serious surprise. We're about to explore 10 major restaurant chains in America that may not survive into 2025, and the reasons go far beyond just financial losses. What's crumbling is a whole slice of American lifestyle, one that's out of step with the present moment. 1. Subway. Think back. When was the last time you grabbed a sub from Subway? For many working-class Americans and students, Subway was once the go-to option, a quicker, lighter alternative to greasy burgers or cheesy pizza. But that familiar sandwich shop is steadily disappearing from towns and cities across the country. And this isn't just guesswork. Over the past 5 years alone, Subway has closed more than 4,000 locations in the U.S., shrinking from over 27,000 stores in 2015 to around 20,000 by the end of 2024. And that number is still declining each month. Why is this happening? Several major reasons come into play. First, Subway's so-called healthy menu hasn't aged well. Today's consumers are more interested in fresh, transparent, and responsibly sourced food. But Subway continues to rely on processed meats, canned veggies, and outdated recipes. What once passed for fresh now feels like a joke. Second, years of bad publicity have done lasting damage. From legal controversies abroad, like the infamous "not legally bred" case in Ireland, to the disgrace surrounding former spokesperson Jared Fogle, the brand's image has taken hit after hit. And in America, once a brand loses public trust, it's extremely difficult to win it back. Finally, competition has evolved while Subway hasn't. Newer brands like Jersey Mike's, Firehouse Subs, and even Panera have modernized, embraced transparency, and delivered a more enjoyable dining experience. Subway, on the other hand, remains stuck in the past, with outdated store interiors, demotivated staff, and sandwiches that seem to shrink with each visit. Even after being sold to Rourke Capital in 2023, a revival seems unlikely. With no founders left at the helm, the company resembles a ship adrift, slowly sinking, with no captain in sight. So the real question is, will Subway even make it through 2025? Or will it become just another memory of soggy sandwiches hastily thrown together in now abandoned shops? 2. Hooters. Imagine driving past a rundown suburban plaza and spotting an old, faded Hooters sign above dusty windows. There's no crowd, no atmosphere, just a lifeless shell of a restaurant that feels frozen in a bygone era. The truth is, America is quietly turning away from Hooters. This chain once sold more than just chicken wings. It marketed a very specific version of the male fantasy: attractive servers in tight outfits, cold beer, and big-screen sports. But it's 2025, not 1995, and Hooters simply hasn't evolved. According to data from Technomic, the number of Hooters restaurants in the U.S. has plummeted from about 430 in 2012 to fewer than 280 by 2024. But here's the real issue: customers just aren't coming back. A 2023 survey from Statista revealed that over 60% of Americans aged 18 to 34 felt uncomfortable or put off by Hooters' outdated, suggestive marketing. Today's diners, especially younger ones, are seeking experiences, not objectification. And when it comes to the food, Hooters isn't exactly winning hearts there either. Yelp ratings across top U.S. states average below 3 out of 5, an alarming sign in a hyper-competitive market. Meanwhile, similar brands like Twin Peaks and Tilted Kilt have reinvented themselves. They've upgraded their menus, renovated interiors, and tapped into craft beer culture to appeal to both Gen Z and older fans. Perhaps the saddest part is this: Hooters isn't just losing customers, it's losing cultural relevance. A younger generation doesn't feel nostalgic about it, doesn't identify with it, and sees no reason to defend its survival. What was once a pop culture icon is now fading into irrelevance. 3. Red Lobster. Once upon a time, Red Lobster stood for accessible luxury. For many working-class families, it was the go-to place for special occasions, anniversaries, graduations, or celebrations. Not extravagant but meaningful. A reward for hard work. Now, that modest luxury is becoming a thing of the past. Red Lobster is on the edge of collapse. And it's not just about a company failing, it's a symbol of how even small pleasures are slipping away for the working class. Financial filings from Thai Union Group, the majority stakeholder, revealed that Red Lobster lost over $33 million in just the first quarter of 2024. In response, the company is considering shuttering hundreds of stores in a desperate attempt to stop the bleeding. What's behind this? Ingredient costs, especially for seafood like lobster and crab, have skyrocketed. Inflation, rising wages, and rental costs have only made things worse. That once beloved $20, endless shrimp deal is now a money-losing gimmick. The customer base is also shrinking. According to a 2023 FSR magazine survey, Red Lobster has lost over 30% of its repeat diners since before the pandemic. Some simply can't afford it anymore. Others find its menu uninspiring compared to modern, local, and fresh dining alternatives. Where Red Lobster was once full of life on a Friday night, many locations now sit half-empty. Storefronts are going dark across the country. It's not that people stopped loving Red Lobster, it's that they've been priced out of it. And in a broader economic climate where people are already struggling with housing, healthcare, and education, losing a simple seafood dinner feels like one more blow to the American dream. If Red Lobster folds in 2025, as many analysts predict, it won't just be another business failure, it'll be a poignant sign of a disappearing middle-class lifestyle. 4. Applebee's. When was the last time you stopped by Applebee's? Not for a celebration, just a casual Friday night meal. For decades, Applebee's was a reliable comfort zone: steak, cocktails, and community vibes. It wasn't fancy, but it was familiar. A place to unwind with friends or family. But that reliable neighbor is slowly disappearing. In 2023, Applebee's closed more than 46 locations across the country. And Dine Brands, its parent company, expects up to 35 more to shut their doors in 2025. Profit margins are thinning, and survival is no longer guaranteed. This isn't just about fewer customers. Applebee's is caught in the middle of a major shift in American dining habits. As prices rise and wallets tighten, diners fall into one of two categories: those who cook at home to save money, and those who splurge on premium experiences that feel worth it. Applebee's, like other mid-tier chains, fits neither category. According to Technomic data, Applebee's has seen a nearly 20% drop in returning customers since the pandemic. And most of its remaining fans are over 45, a demographic that's dining out less frequently. Meanwhile, younger generations have moved on. Millennials and Gen Z are drawn to fast, convenient, and Instagram-worthy food spots. To them, Applebee's feels outdated, both in taste and style. The casual dining model that once defined Middle America is unraveling. Applebee's used to be embedded in the fabric of local communities, near schools, hospitals, and neighborhoods. But today, in more and more places, its once familiar neon sign is nowhere to be seen. When an Applebee's closes, it's more than just a shuttered restaurant. It's a symbol of how rising costs and changing tastes are eroding once reliable gathering spaces. As these spaces vanish, people grow more isolated, even in the towns they've lived in for years. And unless something changes soon, Applebee's could be the next name added to the growing list of American cultural casualties. 5. Salt Bae, Nusser et Steakhouse. Let's be honest, Salt Bae's restaurants were never the kind of places you'd drop by after a long day of work. In fact, 99% of Americans will likely never set foot inside one. Why? Because a single slice of his signature salted Wagyu beef can cost up to $1,000. A burger? Around $120. And if you're feeling fancy enough for the infamous 24-karat gold-covered steak, prepared to spend upwards of $500 before the tip. For a brief, glittering moment, Salt Bae, real name Nusret Gopsha, was a global sensation. His viral salt sprinkling videos filled everyone's social feeds. Athletes, celebrities, and influencers lined up to spend outrageous amounts just to experience the spectacle. But that sparkle didn't last. The bubble has burst, especially in the U.S. Locations in major cities like New York, Miami, and Las Vegas have seen sharp declines. Since 2023, online review platforms like Yelp and Google have reported a surge in negative feedback. The most common complaints? Exorbitant prices and subpar service. According to the Financial Times, some American branches had to lay off staff, scale back their menus, and in certain cases, faced revenue drops of up to 40% within a year. This dramatic fall has even been labeled the Salt Bae burnout. The public that once eagerly watched every theatrical salt toss is now tired of the flashiness, tired of the ego, and increasingly uncomfortable with the stark disconnect between the performance and reality. And here's the harsh truth. When everyday Americans are skipping meals to save money, and food prices have skyrocketed to 150% of pre-pandemic levels, a restaurant that caters solely to the ultra-wealthy doesn't just seem excessive, it feels downright offensive. Salt Bae wasn't just selling steak, he was selling the illusion of untouchable luxury. But when that illusion cracked, it left behind overpriced food and disappointed customers. Sure, his brand may still thrive in ultra-wealthy hubs like Dubai, London, or Istanbul. But in the US? Nusser et is fading fast. The final sprinkle of salt may have already happened, and hardly anyone noticed. 6. The Cheesecake Factory. If you've ever wandered through a large American shopping mall, odds are you've passed a cheesecake factory. For years, it was a symbol of indulgence, giant menus, generous portions, and those decadent slices of cheesecake that felt like the ultimate dessert reward. But today, if you ask loyal diners whether they still treat themselves to a meal there, many will hesitate. Why? Because prices have risen dramatically while household incomes for many families remain stagnant. In this era of relentless inflation, dining at the Cheesecake Factory is no longer the casual luxury it once was. A standard dinner for two can now easily top $60 before tip, an expense that many families simply can't justify anymore. According to the National Restaurant Association, the chain has lost more than 20% of its customer traffic between 2018 and 2023, as quicker and more affordable options continue to dominate the market. And here's the bigger problem, it's not just about cost. The Cheesecake Factory's famously massive menu, once a novelty, has become a burden. With over 250 items, many customers feel overwhelmed, confused, or just uninspired. It's a case of quantity over quality, and that's no longer appealing in a food culture that values simplicity and authenticity. Then there's the atmosphere. The once unique decor and upscale feel of the Cheesecake Factory have been outshined by local, independent restaurants that offer stylish, Instagram-friendly interiors and creative menus, often at more competitive prices. To younger generations, those indie spots feel fresher, cooler, and a better use of their limited budget. Put simply, the Cheesecake Factory is struggling to keep up. It still holds a cherished place in American dining culture, but nostalgia alone won't sustain it. As modern consumers become more value-conscious and experience-driven, restaurants rooted in extravagance risk being left behind. The Cheesecake Factory may not disappear entirely, but its golden days seem to be fading fast. 7. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, better known as B-dubs, was once the go-to destination for game nights, cold beers, and spicy wings with friends. But what used to be a must-visit hangout is slowly being left behind. So, why is this once beloved chain teetering on the edge of collapse in 2025? The answer lies in shifting consumer habits. For years, Buffalo Wild Wings thrived on a simple formula: beer, wings, and sports. But America's tastes are changing, especially among Gen Z and millennials. More than ever, today's diners are gravitating toward healthier, cleaner, and more mindful eating. Greasy, high-calorie meals with little nutritional value are falling out of favor. According to Statista, Buffalo Wild Wings revenue has dropped by roughly 15% since 2018, a serious red flag for a brand built on indulgence. Another challenge? Competition. Fast casual chains like Chipotle and Panera Bread have exploded in popularity by offering fresh, flavorful meals with better nutritional profiles, and at faster speeds. These brands cater to a lifestyle that values health, efficiency, and simplicity. B-dubs? Not so much. And then there's the atmosphere. While Buffalo Wild Wings built its identity around loud TVs, packed dining rooms, and sports bar energy, today's consumers increasingly prefer quieter, more relaxed environments. For many, a night out at B-dubs feels less like fun and more like sensory overload. Add rising prices to the mix, and it's easy to see the problem. A typical dinner for two at Buffalo Wild Wings can now cost $30 to $40, while comparable meals at competitors like Wingstop or Zaxby's come in closer to $20 to $25. That price gap is steering customers elsewhere. So how can Buffalo Wild Wings survive? It needs a serious business model overhaul, starting with a menu that offers more variety, healthier options, and better price points. But change takes time, something this chain may not have in an industry where consumer preferences are evolving faster than ever. 8. Taco Bell. Taco Bell, with its affordable, fast, and flavorful offerings, has long been a staple for late-night cravings across the U.S. But today, the question is clear. Can Taco Bell stay relevant in a market where consumers want more than just low prices? They want quality, nutrition, and freshness. For years, Taco Bell thrived on bold flavors and indulgent value meals. But now, the tide is shifting. Millennials and Gen Z are leading a new wave of health-conscious eating. They're paying closer attention to ingredients, calories, and overall wellness, and Taco Bell's traditional menu is starting to look a bit outdated. Fast casual rivals like Chipotle and Sweet Green are capitalizing on this shift with fresh, customizable meals built around real food. Meanwhile, Taco Bell's growth is slowing. According to Technomic, the brand's revenue rose just 3% in 2023, modest compared to the double-digit growth seen by some of its competitors. Taco Bell has tried to adapt, introducing vegetarian and vegan-friendly items, gluten-free options, and even experimenting with more health-forward ingredients. But so far, those changes feel tentative, not transformative. There's another challenge: the low-price model. Taco Bell's biggest selling point has always been value, but with rising food and labor costs, it's becoming harder to maintain those low prices without compromising quality. So can Taco Bell evolve fast enough? That depends. If the chain can reimagine its menu to offer healthier, high-quality items without losing the convenience and affordability it's known for, there's hope. But if it clings too tightly to its old playbook, it risks becoming a relic of fast food's past. 9. IHOP. When most people think of IHOP, they think of fluffy pancakes, syrup-drenched platters, and comforting breakfasts shared with family. But in today's fast-evolving food landscape, the big question is, can IHOP hold onto its relevance? IHOP once defined the all-American breakfast. But diners are rethinking their morning routines. A growing number of people, especially health-conscious millennials, are moving away from sugar-loaded pancakes and heavy breakfasts, opting instead for meals that are lighter, fresher, and more aligned with modern nutrition goals. According to the National Restaurant Association, consumption of traditional breakfast items like pancakes has dropped by 44% over the past 5 years. That's a devastating blow for a brand whose identity is built around exactly that. IHOP has attempted to pivot. New menu additions include salads, smoothies, and lighter fare, but these changes haven't been enough to recapture the attention of younger, wellness-minded consumers. The chain also faces logistical challenges. Most IHOP locations operate as sit-down, full-service restaurants, which come with higher overhead costs and slower service, two major disadvantages in a world where speed and flexibility rule. Fast casual competitors like First Watch and Eggs Up Grill are offering healthier menus, stylish atmospheres, and quicker service, making IHOP look increasingly outdated by comparison. And the financials reflect that struggle. According to IBIS World, IHOP's revenue fell by 3.6% in 2023, while smaller rivals posted modest gains. Unless IHOP can modernize its offerings and overhaul its image, its future is uncertain. What was once the symbol of the classic American breakfast may soon be remembered only through nostalgia, unless real change happens fast. 10. TGI Fridays. Who doesn't remember the classic TGI Fridays experience? Oversized burgers, colorful cocktails, and a vibrant atmosphere filled with laughter and neon signs. But in 2025, this iconic chain is struggling, and fast. Founded in 1965, TGI Fridays helped define the casual dining space in America. But today, it's grappling with shrinking revenues and waning foot traffic. According to IBIS World, the chain saw a 4% revenue decline in the past year, while competitors like Applebee's and Chili's held steady. Why is TGI Fridays falling behind? One reason is its failure to evolve. In a world where diners want lighter, fresher, and healthier meals, TGI Fridays still leans heavily on calorie-laden staples like ribs, burgers, and fried appetizers. While some efforts have been made to modernize the menu, they've lacked focus and consistency. And then there's the experience itself. Today's consumers value transparency, sustainability, and wellness. Rising competitors like Sweet Green and Shake Shack are winning hearts by aligning with these values, offering clean ingredients, sustainable sourcing, and tech-friendly convenience. Fridays, on the other hand, feels stuck in a time warp. On top of that, the chain is burdened by its brick-and-mortar business model. Large dining spaces, high labor costs, and rising inflation have made it harder than ever to remain profitable in the oversaturated sit-down market. TGI Fridays still has loyal customers, but loyalty alone won't save it. Without a bold reinvention, one that includes a modernized menu, updated branding, and a reimagined dining experience, this once thriving brand risks becoming just another nostalgic memory. So, from Salt Bay's lavish theatrics to TGI Fridays' outdated appeal, the question remains: can these restaurant chains evolve fast enough to survive the changing tides of American dining? The U.S. food industry is more competitive, more health-conscious, and more dynamic than ever before. Only the brands that adapt quickly and authentically will make it through. So, what do you think? Will these restaurants bounce back, or will they fade into the background of food history? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more bold predictions and eye-opening insights into the world of business and consumer trends.